The Gospel of John, chapter 15. I want to start today by asking you a question. Have you ever felt disconnected from your purpose or like you were struggling to make a meaningful impact? Maybe you felt like you're doing all the right things, but you're just not seeing the results you had hoped for. If that's you, and if you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. In fact, Jesus had something powerful to say about this very feeling. In the Gospel of John, chapter 15, Jesus uses the image of a vine and branches to help us understand how we can experience true growth, joy, and a lasting impact. He's not just giving us good advice, he's showing us how to live a transformed life. So let's explore this passage together and see how it can reshape our lives. The vine and branches, understanding the basics. So Jesus starts by saying, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. So picture that for a moment. A strong vine stretching out its branches with a gardener who carefully tends to each one. We are those branches, and Jesus is inviting us to connect with him deeply. Now, you see, just as a branch cannot survive or bear fruit without being attached to the vine, we can't truly thrive unless we're connected to Jesus. This isn't about trying harder or doing more. It's about staying close to the source of life. Jesus even says, apart from me, you can do nothing. So think about that. Nothing. Not a little less or half as much. Nothing. He's not exaggerating either. He's stating a fact. Our spiritual lives depend on a steady, daily connection with him. So how do we stay connected? Well, it's like maintaining any meaningful relationship. It takes time, intentionality, and communication. Prayer, reading the Word, and listening for his voice are always good ways to remain in him. You see, it's less about rituals and more about relationship. When we stay connected, we start to see changes, both in us and through us. We bear fruit that makes a difference. Pruning for growth, embracing the process. You see, Jesus doesn't talk about just staying connected. He talks about pruning. Now, I don't know about you, but pruning isn't exactly something I look forward to. But Jesus says, every branch that doesn't bear fruit, the Father prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. Now, pruning isn't pleasant because it may look like trials or challenges or God asking you to let go of something. But here's the thing. It's for our own good. God doesn't prune us to punish us. He prunes us to prepare us for more growth. But let's be real for just 1 second. Ask yourself, are there areas in your life where you feel God is cutting away the dead parts? Maybe it's a habit you need to break, or a relationship that's not leading you closer to him. Could even be a mindset that needs a little shifting. You know, the pruning process is painful, but it's also purposeful. It makes room for something better. So when we stay connected and allow God to prune us, we start bearing fruit. And I'm not talking about doing good things. This fruit looks like love, joy, peace, patience, the kind of qualities that change not only us, but the people around us. You see, Jesus says, if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Now, this fruit isn't something we have to force. It's a natural outcome of our connection to him. It's like the grapes that grow naturally on a healthy branch. They don't strain to grow, they just do. So, check your fruit. Are you seeing more patience in your relationships? More joy even when life is hard? If not, maybe it's a sign that you need to reconnect with the vine. You know, it's not a call to guilt. It's an invitation back to the source. And Jesus doesn't stop at connection and fruit. He digs a little deeper and talks about abiding in love. He says, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love." Well, this isn't a passive kind of love. Jesus isn't saying, just feel good. He's inviting us to live in his love. It's like being wrapped in a warm blanket on a cold day. You don't just hold it, you wrap yourself in it. That's how Jesus wants us to abide in his love. And it's not about just receiving love. It's about living it out. Jesus goes on to say, "My command is this: love each other as I have loved you." The same sacrificial, unconditional love he has shown us is what we're called to show others. Now think about that for a moment. Are you truly abiding in Jesus' love, or are you just visiting it from time to time? It's easy to get busy and drift away from that love, but Jesus wants us to make his love our home base, the place we return to over and over again. And then Jesus makes an interesting point. He connects love with obedience. He says, "If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Now, let's be honest. When we hear obedience, joy is not always the first thing that comes to mind, right? But Jesus says that obeying him actually leads to complete joy. That's because living according to God's will isn't restricting, it's freeing. It aligns us with our true purpose and brings joy that circumstances can't take away. So, are you currently experiencing this kind of joy? If not, maybe it's just time to ask, am I really obeying what Jesus has called me to do? Joy often follows obedience, even when the initial steps feel hard. Friendship with Jesus is more than just a title. One of the most incredible things Jesus says in this passage is that he no longer calls us servants, but friends. He says, "You are my friends if you do what I command." That's huge. It means that Jesus wants a personal, intimate relationship with us, built on trust, communication, and love. And who doesn't want to have a best friend that's a God? The benefits are amazing, right? So what does that friendship with Jesus look like? It's not just about showing up to church or saying a prayer once in a while. It's about walking with him, talking with him, and involving him in your daily life. Jesus wants more than followers. He wants friends who truly know him. But Jesus always keeps it real. He tells us that following him won't always be easy. He says, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." Being a branch connected to Jesus sometimes means facing rejection or opposition. The world doesn't always celebrate fruitfulness. Sometimes it tries to cut it down. But here's the good news. Jesus reminds us that we have the Holy Spirit, our comforter, advocate, and guide. We are never alone in this journey, even when it feels like the world is against us. So here's the takeaway. Jesus invites us to stay connected, abide in love, and live fruitful lives. It's not a one-time decision, but a daily choice. It's also a choice that leads to real transformation, deep joy, and a life that truly matters. So as you leave here today, I'd like you to ask yourself, are you truly connected to the vine, or are you trying to do life on your own? Are you allowing God to prune you even when it's uncomfortable? And is your life bearing the kind of fruit that points others to Jesus? Remember, being a branch connected to the true vine isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving. It's about experiencing a joy that doesn't fade and a love that never fails. Let's commit today to stay connected to Jesus, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. Thank you, friends, for joining me today, and may God bless you as you abide in Him. And this is definitely my favorite part of every day. I love coming here and talking with you and spending time with you. I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll discuss the Gospel of John, chapter 16. I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. So take care, friends.